disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Welcome to Around Our Area, a weekly look at community newspapers from around Western New York. Your reader for this hour is Lenny Mann. Our first paper will be the Amherst Bee. Story is about John and Mary's. Its historical run will come to an end on June the 5th by Bob Kupsik. After 55 years of serving generations of Western New Yorkers, the next few weeks will be the public's last chance to enjoy its food and say goodbye to sister owners Rami Stefano and Sandy Stefano Stipa. John and Mary's Subs, 2363 Millersport Highway, next to the Gettsville Plaza, has been sold, and the last day of operation will be Friday, June 5th. The sister said selling the restaurant is bittersweet. Quote, "The opportunity came that somebody was interested, and it's been 55 years we've been here. I was a little girl," unquote, said Stefano. "We've done this our whole lives, and we just felt it was time. If not now, when?" Unquote. She said it's time for her and her sister to slow down and take it easy and not work so hard. Stefano Stipa said she is a little sad and a little scared. This is all I've done my whole life." Stefano said the new restaurant will be a pizzeria, adding that the business name will change and won't continue as John and Mary's. She said the history of the John and Mary's name goes back to her great uncle and great aunt, John and Mary Gouda. John was my grandmother's brother, and she, Mary, was Rose of Mama Rosa's, an Italian restaurant that first opened at Kensington and Olympic Avenues before moving to Amherst, where the now closed Rite Aid stands on Millersport Street. John and Mary opened to the original location on Harlem Road in 1952. Stefano said her parents opened the Millersport location in 1971. Stefano Stipa said the restaurant was her mother's baby. Stefano said her father, who worked at M. Weil, was easygoing, and her mother really wanted to own a restaurant. Eating establishments run in the family, as their mother's older sister was Nina of Nina's Custard, and their first cousins operate My Tomato Pie. Stefano said many family members have worked at the location over the 55 years, adding that the restaurant has had hundreds of employees, and some have become lifelong friends. "We have employees that have met their future spouses here." She said when the Millersport location opened, Amherst was different, citing that the Millersport Highway and Maple Road were 2 lanes. There was no James Audubon Parkway, West Her, or Millard Fillmore Suburban Hospital, and it was just houses along Millersport. "It's crazy how it's changed." Stefano said closing the restaurant is incredibly bittersweet, adding that John and Mary's has had lifelong customers, serving thousands over the years. "We've seen people come in carrying their kids, and now those kids are carrying in their kids." Stefano said the recipes at John and Mary's haven't changed, adding that Uncle John and Aunt Mary taught us how to make the John and Mary's hot sauce, which goes on our Big John sandwich, and our sausage hoagies. It's a spicy spaghetti sauce. She said her sister has always made the tuna. Customers who visited the original location still come to the Gettsville restaurant and say, "This tuna tastes like when I was a kid," because it's the exact same recipe, said Stefano. John and Mary's doesn't use prepared shredded lettuce, and every morning they clean lettuce, slice cold cuts, tomatoes, and more. John and Mary's originally featured only 10 submarine sandwiches. That was it, and people were lined up out the door. But now there's a lot more competition, says Stefano. The restaurant owners said a difficult time for John and Mary's was during the COVID pandemic. Money-wise, we were taking in for the whole day what we would do from noon to 1 before COVID. It got a little tough at first, but, we stuck it out. What will the sisters do when the restaurants in Gettsville closes? Stefano said, she has a part-time job. I'm going to keep that and keep busy. Start collecting my Social Security. Stefano Stipa said she will get a part-time job and has already had a few offers. I don't want to be in charge anymore. I don't want to make decisions, and we'll see how that goes. How has it been for the sisters working together for 55 years? We have our moments, and we have completely different personalities, said Stefano Stipa, adding that she and her sister do activities together outside of work. The sister's mother and father both passed away at age 85. He in 2010 and she in 2018. She was right here the night before she died, sitting in the seat she always sat in, said Stefano Stipa. She was the belle of the ball. I call her the rock star because she truly was the rock star. Several individually owned and operated John and Mary's restaurants remain in Western New York, including the original Harlem Road location in Cheektowaga. The Gettsville restaurant is open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday and 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday and closed on Sundays. It's been a great run, said Stefano. Cancer Services Program of Erie County is offering screenings for the LGBTQ plus community. For many in the LGBTQ plus community, accessing the health care is not always felt safe, inclusive, or welcoming. These experiences can lead people to delay care or avoid it altogether, including life-saving cancer screenings. At the Cancer Services Program of Erie County, we are working to change that. We understand that screenings needs are personal and depend on your body, age, and health history, not assumptions based on your identity. Whether you're a trans man who needs a cervical cancer screening or someone who's avoided the doctor entirely because of past negative experiences, the Cancer Services Program will meet you where you are. Cancer does not discriminate, and access to care should not either. Screenings for breast, cervical, and colorectal cancer can save lives by finding cancer early, but only if people feel safe enough to get screened. That is why the CSP strives to remove barriers, whether financial, structural, or emotional, so that all people have the opportunity to make their health a priority. We also understand that the LGBTQ plus community faces risks for cancer that do not have routine screenings. The CSP can be your trusted entry point into a healthcare system that takes your whole health seriously. This Pride Month, we affirm our commitment to the inclusive care. We encourage anyone who has been putting off a screening to know that you are welcome and that your health matters, and that you deserve care that respects who you are. Please reach us at cspwny.org, 716-858-7363. Lisa Malowski, the Senior Outreach Aide at Cancer Services Program of Western New York. From the Police Blotter. On Monday, May the 4th, the Amherst Police responded to the area of North French and Dodge Roads for the report of a swerving vehicle. When officers arrived, the vehicle was stopped in the intersection with the driver slumped at the wheel. Investigation revealed the driver was impaired by drugs. Drug paraphernalia was also located in the vehicle. A 43-year-old male from Lockport was charged. On Tuesday, May the 5th, law enforcement responded to a Main Street restaurant for a report of a woman in distress. An officer located her at a table, unresponsive with her head down. He moved her to the floor and performed chest He performed chest compressions, which partially revived her. The officer then performed the Heimlich maneuver, which dislodged a piece of food. She was later transported to the hospital. Police responded to the North French Road for the report of a person running naked and trying to get hit by passing cars. Officers located the male in a backyard. He admitted to smoking crack cocaine and consuming a large quantity of psychedelic mushrooms. He was transported to ECMC for treatment. On Wednesday, May the 6th, Amherst police responded to a Mexican restaurant at 1 a.m. for the report of a fight. One victim was observed with 2 lacerations in his head, but he was unwilling to cooperate with the police and refused first aid. No one present could identify any suspects. It is unknown if anyone involved was aware that Cinco de Mayo had ended 1 hour before the altercation. On Thursday, May the 7th, an officer observed a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed on Main Street. As he turned around to stop the vehicle, he observed the vehicle hit a telephone pole, shearing it off at the base. The driver attempted to flee on foot but was apprehended. After failing field sobriety tests, a 40-year-old woman was arrested. Once returned to the police headquarters, she stated she needed to check on her daughter at home. At 1 a.m., officers went to her house and located a 4-year-old in the residence alone with a side door unlocked. On Friday, May the 8th, the Amherst police responded to an intersection for a report of an accident. Investigation revealed one of the drivers was intoxicated. After failing field sobriety tests, she refused to blow into a roadside screening device and then refused an alcohol chemical test at headquarters. A 55-year-old female was arrested. After being processed, officers noticed she was still having difficulty standing. To determine if she required medical intervention, she was asked to provide a breath sample, which registered a .35 BAC, which is 4 times more than the legal limit. Law officers also responded to an East Amherst apartment complex after a maintenance worker reported someone had broken into the building and was believed to be inside a bathroom. Officers located the suspect, and further investigation revealed he also possessed nearly half a pound of cocaine as well as 3 ounces of methamphetamine. A 47-year-old male was arrested. And finally, on Saturday, May the 9th, an officer observed a vehicle stopped in an intersection on Sheridan Drive with the driver slumped at the wheel. Several attempts to wake him were made, and further investigation revealed he was intoxicated. A loaded handgun was also located. A 39-year-old male from Buffalo was charged, and he was also on probation. You are listening to Around Our Area on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. A new refill shop offers low-waste shopping. This is from the Clarence Bee. A new retail concept aimed at reducing household waste has opened near the Clarence border, offering residents an alternative to traditional single-use packaging. True North Refillery, located at 4790 North French Road, held its grand opening on May the 1st, following a soft opening that drew strong interest from the community. The store operates as a refill shop, allowing customers to purchase household and personal care products without disposable containers. Owner Jeannie Ruffino said the business was created to address the amount of waste generated through everyday purchases. I opened a refillery after realizing how much waste, especially single-use plastic, we create every day, and it's simply not sustainable for our future, Ruffino said. At the store, the customers can bring their own containers or purchase reusable ones and refill them with products such as laundry detergent, dish soap, shampoo, and body wash. The goal is to reduce reliance on single-use plastic bottles while offering an alternative way to shop for routine items. The refillery aspect allows customers to bring in their own containers and refill them with bulk household products and personal care items like soaps, hair and body care, cleaning supplies, cutting down on single-use packaging, Ruffino said. In addition to refillable products, the shop carries a selection of sustainable goods, including reusable and biodegradable household items and products made with lower environmental impact. The sustainable goods portion complements this by offering eco-friendly alternatives. It offers such refillable, eco-friendly alternatives, such as reusable and biodegradable household items and non-toxic products made with lower environmental impact, Ruffino said. Ruffino said the store also works with suppliers that reuse packaging as part of the closed-loop system. We work with closed-loop suppliers, he said. When the refill containers are empty, we send them back to the supplier to clean and sanitize and continue reusing the container rather than disposing of it. The concept is designed to make sustainable choices more accessible for residents in the Amherst and Clarence area. Together, these concepts make it easier for consumers to reduce waste and make more sustainable choices in their daily routines, Ruffino said. We feel small changes can make a huge impact. Ruffino said the response from the community during the store's opening has been encouraging. Opening the doors to True North Refillery has been such an incredible experience, she said. What started as an idea rooted in reducing waste and living more intentionally has now become a real part of this community. She said the customers have shown interest in incorporating more sustainable practices into their routines. I am so grateful for everyone who stopped in, shared kind words, and supported this dream, Ruffino said. Seeing people excited about making small, sustainable changes reminds me of exactly why I opened this store in the first place. True North Refillery is the first business of its kind in the Amherst and Clarence area, according to Ruffino, and is intended to provide a local option for residents seeking to reduce waste through everyday purchases. And this is just the beginning, Ruffino said. Poloncarz vetoes youth hunting law. Erie County Executive Mark C. Poloncarz vetoed Erie County Local Law 31 of 2026, the youth hunting law, which would allow 12 and 13-year-olds to hunt big game with a mentor. Poloncarz attended a public hearing on the law on Wednesday, May 13th, to hear from residents both approving of the law and opposing it. In a video statement explaining his decision, Poloncarz stated the following. Today, I vetoed Erie County Local Law 3-1 of 2026, the youth hunting law, which would allow 12 and 13-year-olds to hunt big game with a mentor. I want to explain to the people of Erie County why I made that decision. As a county executive, I am one of the few people who receives and reviews child fatality reports from New York State. These reports are created anytime a child dies, whether from accident, illness, or other circumstances. Unfortunately, since taking office, I have read hundreds of them. Every single one represents one child too many. In some cases, those deaths are the result of accidental shootings. I recognize that since New York passed the 12 and 13-year-old hunter law, there has not been an incident in New York State, and I acknowledge that. However, in other states, children as young as 9, 10, and 11 years old have died in hunting-related incidents since 2020. Just last September in Iowa, a 17-year-old was killed while squirrel hunting. I have read too many child fatality reports to sign a law that could potentially result in a child dying because of its passage. The legislature has the opportunity to override my veto, and they may choose to do so. That is their constitutional right, and I respect that decision. But if they override this veto and a child dies in the future, my conscience will be clear, knowing I did everything I could to try to prevent that tragedy. I understand there are strong feelings on both sides of this issue. I respect responsible hunters and hunting families across our community. I come from a family that hunts. My father hunted, my brother hunts, and other members of my family hunt. This is not about being against hunting. It is about whether I believe it is appropriate for 12 and 13-year-olds to hunt big game, even with a mentor. Because of this risk, and because of the child fatality reports I have read, I do not believe it is. That is why I voted this bill. From Michael Kearns, the Erie County Clerk. May is Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month. As the weather warms and the days grow longer, motorcycle season is once again underway across Erie County. With thousands of riders preparing to get back on the road, now is the perfect time to remind everyone that motorcycle safety is a shared responsibility. Motorcycles remain a popular choice for transportation and recreation because they are affordable, fuel efficient, and enjoyable to ride. Here in Erie County, more than 21,000 registered motorcyclists take to our roads each year for commuting, touring, and leisure activities. Unfortunately, motorcycles continue to be overrepresented in serious traffic accidents. According to the National Highway Safety Administration, the data reported that motorcycles represented exactly 3.5% of all registered vehicles, but climbed to 15% of all traffic fatalities in 2024. Data from the Institute for Traffic and Safety Research shows that motorcycle injuries rose to 4,681, including 189 riders who lost their lives statewide in 2024. That is why awareness and caution from all of motorists are so important. Drivers should always remain alert for motorcycles, especially when changing lanes or making turns. Because motorcycles are smaller and can easily disappear into blind spots, taking an extra moment to look twice can save lives. Maintaining a safe following distance is equally important, particularly during poor weather or low visibility conditions. Motorcyclists also play a critical role in roadway safety. Riders should always wear proper protective gear, including a DOT-approved helmet, ride within their abilities, use turn signals, and avoid riding while distracted or impaired. Motorcycle safety courses are also highly encouraged for both new and experienced riders. These programs help sharpen riding skills and may even qualify participants for insurance discounts. Information about available courses can be found through the New York State Motorcycle Safety Program. I also want to remind riders that motorcycle registrations expire annually on April 30th. Before heading out this season, be sure your registration is current and remember to renew local at the Erie County Auto Bureau. Proper licensing is equally important, as statistics show that as much as 36% of fatal motorcycle crashes involve unlicensed operators. Obtaining the correct license and training is not only required by law, it can save your life. By working together and practicing safe driving habits, we can help reduce crashes, injuries, and fatalities on our roads. Whether you are behind the wheel of the car or riding on two wheels, patience, awareness, and responsibility make all of the difference. Ride smart, ride safe, and enjoy the season. You are listening to Around Our Area on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. We turn now to the Cheektowaga Bee. A couple pleads guilty in the death of their infant daughter. Luis Gonzalez Jr., 26, and Katrina Udre, 23, both of Buffalo, pleaded guilty on Monday, May 18th, before Erie County Judge James F. Barganesi to one count of manslaughter in the second degree in connection with the death of their infant daughter. Both defendants entered a guilty plea to the highest sustainable charge and sole count of the indictment. At approximately 2:42 p.m. Friday, July 7th, 2023, police and paramedics responded to an apartment on the 2000 block of William Street in the town of Cheektowaga after receiving a 911 call for an unresponsive child. The victim, 2-month-old Lundeen Gonzalez, was transported by ambulance to the former Oshai Children's Hospital, where she was pronounced deceased. The investigation determined that the defendants, while acting in concert with one another, recklessly caused the death of their infant daughter. On April 20th, 2023, Lundeen was born at a healthy weight of 6 pounds 8 ounces. During the 2 pediatric appointments in late April and early May of 2023, a medical provider expressed concern about the baby's declining weight and instructed the defendants to increase the amount of formula as well as the frequency of her feeds. After the defendants failed to return for a third appointment on May 8, 2023, the defendants never contacted the pediatrician's office again and did not take their child to another pediatrician. At the time of her death, Lundeen weighed 8 pounds 4 ounces. The Erie County Medical Examiner's Office ruled the manner of death as homicide by neglect, caused due to malnutrition and dehydration. Gonzalez and Udre are scheduled to be sentenced at 9:30 a.m. Wednesday, July the 29th. While the charge carries a maximum punishment of 15 years in prison, Judge Barganesi committed to a maximum determinant sentence of 1 to 3 years of incarceration as a condition of the plea. The defendants were released under supervision while awaiting sentencing. Erie County District Attorney Michael Kane commends Detectives Kevin Schmidt, Lieutenant Justin Haig, Detective Mark Fata, and Detective James Genson of the Cheektowaga Police Department and members of the Doyle Fire Company for their work in this investigation. The case was prosecuted by Chief Rebecca Schnurl of the Felony Trials Bureau. A man pleads guilty after dog dies in an overheated vehicle. Daniel J. Colt, 29, of Depew, pleaded guilty before Cheektowaga Town Court Justice John Want to one count of confinement of companion animals in vehicles, extreme temperatures, a violation of New York State agricultural and markets laws. Collowans was sentenced to a 1-year conditional discharge and ordered to pay $225 in fines. On the afternoon of Tuesday, September the 16th, 2025, police responded to a parking lot on the 2500 block of Walden Avenue in the town of Cheektowaga for a report of a deceased dog. The defendant left the dog inside of a cage in the rear cargo of his parked vehicle for more than an hour. A necropsy indicated that the dog, a 3-year-old bulldog named Goon, died from heat stroke due to impaired thermal regulation. A prosecutor requested that the court impose a lifetime securing order to prohibit Kowalsk from owning, harboring, or having custody or control of any animals. The court issued a 1-year securing order. Erie County District Attorney Michael Keene commended Chief Officer Lindsay Wood of the SPCA serving Erie County, Officer Dennis Kuzak, and Officer Christopher Wierzbowski of the Cheektowaga Police Department, as well as Cheektowaga Animal Control, for their work in this investigation. Baskin introduces India's law to improve medical care and family notification in jails. New York State Senator April Baskin has introduced India's law, legislation aimed at ensuring incarcerated people experiencing serious medical or mental health crises receive timely care and that their next of kin are promptly notified so they can advocate for their loved ones. Baskin's office said the legislation is named in honor of India Cummings, a 27-year-old woman who died in 2016 after her physical and mental health deteriorated while she was incarcerated at the Erie County Holding Center in Buffalo. A 2018 report by the New York State Commission of Correction concluded that the care Cummings received was so grossly incompetent and inadequate as to shock the conscience, and ruled her death a homicide due to medical neglect. However, after a 2-year investigation, the New York State Attorney General's office announced there was insufficient evidence to pursue criminal charges in Cummings' death. India's law would require county correctional facilities to 1. Notify an incarcerated individual's next of kin within 24 hours of serious medical events or mental health crises in which the person may pose a danger to themselves or others. 2. Transfer the individuals needing medical attention or mental health treatment to an appropriate facility within 24 hours. And 3. Provide visitation access to next of kin or other designated representatives during such crises. And finally, notify the next of kin within 24 hours of any death in the facility. You're listening to Around Our Area on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. We're turning now to the Lancaster Depew Bee. The Erie County Sheriff's Office is part of the Blue Envelope Program, an initiative overseen by the New York State Sheriff's Association that assists law enforcement officers when communicating with drivers that have autism. During a traffic stop or any other interaction with law enforcement, program participants can present their blue envelope containing information like a driver's license, vehicle registration, and insurance information. The special blue envelope lets officers know about the individual's autism diagnosis to limit any misunderstandings. To join the Blue Envelope program, email the Sheriff's Office at Mitchell, MITCHELL, .martin@erie.gov. The State University of New York, whose 64 institutions includes Orchard Park and Williamsville-based SUNY Erie Community College and the University at Buffalo and Amherst, has launched a new mental health resource finder designed to help students, faculty, staff, and their families more easily access mental health services and support systems across the New York State. The initiative was announced last week by John B. King, Jr., Ph.D., in observance of Mental Health Awareness Month and as part of SUNY's broader effort to reduce the stigma surrounding mental health and expand access to care. Ensuring SUNY students, educators, and staff all have vital information and access to mental health support resources and services is an essential part of achieving student success, King said in a statement. As we mark Mental Health Awareness Month, this new resource guide will make it easier for students and their loved ones to know what resources are available on campuses throughout New York State. The interactive online directory allows users to search for mental health resources by service type and location, connecting them with SUNY campuses, counseling centers, county-based providers, and statewide or national support organizations. Users can also filter results by specialty services, including addiction treatment and emergency services, or locate support tailored to groups such as student parents and student athletes. An integrated feedback feature enables users to provide real-time input on listed resources. SUNY officials said the new tools on existing mental health initiatives across the university system, including the SUNY Suicide Prevention Training Module, which helps campus communities identify warning signs and support individuals in crisis. The launch follows several recent SUNY mental health initiatives. In January, King introduced the SUNY Mental Health First Aid Grant Program to strengthen campus-based mental health strategies. In February, SUNY expanded its mental health internship program to provide paid experiential learning opportunities for community college students pursuing behavioral mental health careers. Last year, SUNY also announced the fourth class of recipients in the SUNY/OMH scholarship program aimed at strengthening the pipeline of mental health professionals from diverse backgrounds. State lawmakers praised the new resource finder and SUNY's continued focus on mental health services. Toby Ann Savinsky, chair of the Senate Higher Education Committee, said the resources recognizes that students across the state have different needs and experiences when seeking support. A resource is only useful if it meets people where they are, Stavisky said. Leah Webb said the resource finder will provide SUNY students, faculty, and staff with timely, compassionate support for their mental health. Alicia L. Heidman, chair of the Assembly Higher Education Committee, said the centralized tool helps connect academic success with overall well-being. SUNY's mental health initiatives are supported through recurring state investments, including $10 million annually for mental health services at state-operated campuses and $3 million annually for community college mental health programs like SUNY Erie. Additionally, all SUNY campuses now include the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline on the back of student ID cards and provide immediate access to emergency support services. Governor Hochul announces heat equipment credit for small businesses. Governor Kathy Hochul recently announced that the New York State Insurance Fund, NYSIF, the state's nonprofit workers' compensation insurer, has launched its extreme heat equipment credit for 2026. First available in 2025, the credit is available to small businesses that purchase personal protective equipment, PPE, including fans, ventilation systems, ventilated hard hats, wide-brimmed hats, cooling vests, cooling towels, and any other items that protect workers exposed to higher temperatures in indoor and outdoor settings to safeguard employees against the effects of extreme heat. Eligible policy holders can now access the 2026 credit, allowing them to lower their workers' compensation premium by up to $1,000 this year. Eligible businesses must have up to 10 employees or an annual premium of $10,000 or less and are engaged in manufacturing, warehousing, carpentry, farming, landscaping, firefighting, roofing, insulation work, wallboard installation, electrical wiring, plumbing, and restaurants. Over the last several years, which have been the hottest in human history, my administration has worked to help New Yorkers prepare for and mitigate the impact of extreme heat events through initiatives including the Interagency Extreme Heat Action Plan and NYSIF's Innovative Equipment Credit, Hochul said. By assisting the costs of heat-related PPE, NYSIF has made it more affordable for small businesses to keep their workers safe from dangerous heat conditions, especially important as we approach what is expected to be another record-breaking summer of high temperatures. The executive director and CEO of NYSIF says that extreme heat has become an extreme occupational hazard for many New York workers, posing a heightened risk of injury, illness, and death in the workplace. We are proud to offer this support to our small employers so they can better promote the health and safety of their workers. To obtain the credit, policyholders can upload their receipts through their NYSIF online accounts. More information can be found at the NYSIF website at nysif.com/PPE. Congressman Nick Langsworthy today announced a $7.7 million in federal funding to organizations serving families and communities across Western New York and the Southern Tier. The funding administered through the Department of Health and Human Services will deliver $7,428,489 to Chautauqua Opportunities Incorporated through the Head Start program to support early childhood education, school readiness, and family support services, and $357,754 to the Seneca Nation of Indians through the Behavioral Health Integration Initiative to strengthen behavioral health services and improve access to integrated care within the community. Investing in children, families, and mental health services strengthens communities across Western New York and the Southern Tier, Langsworthy said. Programs like Head Start to help ensure young children have the support and educational foundation they need to succeed, while behavioral health initiatives provide critical resources to individuals and families facing mental health and substance use challenges. You are listening to Around Our Area on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. We turn now to the Kenton Bee. North Tonawanda man's sports collection raises $17,000 for comfort care. The family of a longtime Buffalo sports fan turned his decades-long collection of memorabilia into a big boost for the nonprofit comfort care home that cared for him in his final days. Robert Linforth spent his final weeks at Crossroads House in Batavia last year following cancer treatment at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center in Buffalo. And almost every day in the house he had on a Buffalo Bills hat or a Sabres jersey. But Linforth's team devotion went far beyond his clothes. He kept a massive collection of bobbleheads, cards, helmets, jerseys, and autographs. In all, thousands of pieces of sports memorabilia. The collection, big enough to occupy its own room in his North Tonawanda home, included souvenirs from such names as Derek Jeter, Cal Ripken Jr., Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Ryan Miller, Pat LaFontaine, and Dominic Hasek. When Linforth died in September, his wife Cindy and daughter Lisa set out to find someone who could put his collection to good use. It wasn't long before the two called Crossroads House Executive Director Tracy Ford and told her to bring a truck, a big truck. We went up there to collect everything, and it filled the truck all the way, front to back, all the way to the top, Ford said by phone Tuesday. We have a pretty good-sized garage here at the Crossroads House, and it filled the garage. Ford quickly realized that sorting through the entire collection would be impractical and called on auctioneer Zach Jensen of Bontrager Auctions to conduct the sale. It took us about 2 weeks to sort it out and catalog it. Just to give you an idea of the volume of it, Jancy said by phone Tuesday. We don't get to see that stuff all the time, and definitely not in that much volume. So to do it all in one auction was kind of cool. And to do it for Crossroads House makes it extra special for sure. In total, the proceeds came out to $17,117.50, an amount that Cindy Linforth never expected. I am thrilled beyond belief, she said in a news release. I know Bob would be too, to know the value of what he collected since his love as a child for the supports. I am thrilled beyond belief, she said in a news release. I know Bob would be too, to know the value of what he collected since his love as a child for the sports. The amount also made a significant difference for the Crossroads House, which is funded entirely by donations. We rely solely on donations to keep our doors open, so this was a huge, wonderful gift for us, Ford said. We do a lot of fundraising and typically will receive some monetary donations from memorials when somebody passes away at Crossroads House if their family chooses to list us in the obituaries. But gifts like this don't happen very often. It makes a significant impact for us to be able to keep our doors open for future families. Amir Williams, 19, of Elmira, was arraigned before State Supreme Court Justice Paul B. Wojcik on an indictment charging him with 2 counts of murder in the second degree, 1 count of robbery in the first degree, 1 count of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, and 1 count of tampering with physical evidence. Buffalo police responded to a residence at approximately 7 a.m. on Tuesday, September 30th, 2025, on the 100 block of Thompson Street after receiving a 911 call. The victim, 47-year-old Samuel Wisanot, was found dead in the living room of his home. The defendant is accused of being a participant in the fatal shooting of the victim. It is further alleged that after the homicide, the defendant and another individual returned to the victim's home to remove a DVR box and a PlayStation system. During the investigation, police allegedly recovered the missing items in a nearby field on Thompson Street, which were placed into evidence for further analysis. Williams is scheduled to return at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, June the 16th, for a pretrial conference, and he is held without bail. The DA's office previously in a release stated that co-defendant Jameer Davis, 21, of Tonawanda, was indicted on 2 counts of murder in the second degree, 1 count of robbery in the first degree, 1 count of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, and 1 count of tampering with physical evidence. Davis, who was also held without bail, is scheduled to return for a pretrial conference before State Supreme Court Justice Paul B. Wojcik at 2 p.m. on Friday, May the 15th. If convicted, Davis and Williams face a maximum sentence of 25 years to life in prison. Some free family programs at the playgrounds this summer. The Town of Tonawanda Youth, Parks, and Recreation Department will host several free summer programs for families and children throughout the community from June 29th through August the 14th. As the weather gets warmer, residents are invited to enjoy a variety of recreational activities, arts, crafts, games, and special events at select playgrounds and parks across the town of Tonawanda. Staffed craft houses will be open from noon until 5, Monday through Friday at Thurston Playground, Elwood Playground, Curtis Playground, and Kenilworth Playground, offering daily activities and creative fun for the children throughout the summer. In addition, the Sheridan Park Splash Pad will be open from noon to 6 p.m., 7 days a week, featuring free arts and craft supplies for children to enjoy while staying cool during the summer months. Several weekly special programs will also take place throughout the summer. The Town of Tonawanda Police Department will host the Little Police Academy at Lincoln Park from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. beginning Tuesday, July 7th through August 11th. The free program will feature movement activities, games, and interactive fun for children. On Wednesdays from July 8th through August 12th, families are invited to Kenny Park for the Playground Club from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., featuring games, sports, equipment, arts and crafts, and more. Additionally, the library bookmobile will visit Kenny Park on Thursdays from 10 a.m. until noon, from July 9th through August 20th, offering read-alouds, story time, and arts and crafts activities for children of all ages. All programs are free and open to the community. The Town of Tonawanda Youth, Parks, and Recreation Department looks forward to providing a fun-filled, active, and engaging summer for local families and children. New York State Department of Transportation Commissioner Marie-Therese Dominguez today in a release stated that the construction has begun on $5.7 million repaving project on 3 major Erie County roadways. The project will resurface approximately 29 lane miles along Niagara Falls Boulevard, Millersport Highway, and Broadway in the towns of Tonawanda, Amherst, and Cheektowaga, the village of Sloan, and the city of Buffalo. Governor Hochul's historic investment in revitalizing thousands of miles along the state highway system are delivering real results across New York, including right here in Western New York. Commissioner Marie-Therese Dominguez said, "These vital corridors are lifelines for our community, carrying thousands of commuters, students, local businesses, and commercial trucks every day, and this project will help keep them smoother, safer, and easier to travel for anyone who depends on them." U.S. Attorney Michael DiGiamaco, in a release, stated that a federal grand jury has returned an indictment charging 6 defendants with conspiracy to commit bank fraud and aggravated identity theft for their roles in a financial fraud scheme. The charges carry a mandatory minimum penalty of 2 years in prison and a maximum of 30 years. According to the indictment, the defendants obtained stolen United States Treasury tax refund checks that were payable to other persons and then used fraudulent identification documents to open bank accounts in the names of the persons the tax refund checks were payable to. The checks would then be deposited into the fraudulent bank accounts, allowing the defendants to withdraw or transfer the funds from the accounts for their benefits. Accounts were opened at various financial institutions, including the Northwest Bank, Evans Bank, Good Neighbors Credit Union, Servview Credit Union, Sweet Home. Accounts were opened at various financial institutions. The Department of Justice has created the National Fraud Enforcement Division. The core mission is to zealously investigate and prosecute those who steal or fraudulently misuse taxpayer dollars. The case is being prosecuted by the Assistant U.S. Attorney Paul E. Bonanno. The indictment is the result of an investigation by the Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation Division under the direction of Special Agent in charge Harry T. Chavez, Jr. A pedestrian remains in critical condition following a vehicle-pedestrian accident in the city of North Tonawanda early Wednesday morning, according to the police. Officers with the North Tonawanda Police Department responded to the intersection of Robinson Street and Vandervoot Street at approximately 4:05 a.m. on May 13th for a reported crash involving a pedestrian. Preliminary investigation determined the pedestrian was struck while crossing Robinson Street. The victim was transported to ECMC, where she remains hospitalized in critical condition. Authorities said the driver involved remained at the scene and is cooperating with the investigators. The crash scene was processed by the department's accident investigation team, and the investigation remains ongoing. U.S. Attorney Michael Giamacco stated in a release that Eli Clark, 36, of North Tonawanda, was charged by criminal complaint with possession with intent to distribute crack cocaine, which carries a maximum penalty of 20 years imprisonment, followed by not less than 3 years of supervised release and a fine of up to $1 million. In January of 2020, Clark was sentenced on a federal charge, possession with intent to distribute 28 grams or more of crack cocaine. In March of 2025, Clark violated his federal supervised release and was sentenced to an additional 12 months in prison. He was released in January 2026. In March 2026, the North Tonawanda Police Department conducted a stop on a vehicle Clark was riding in. During the stop, law enforcement recovered 33 grams of suspected crack cocaine from Clark's waistband. Clark was taken into custody. Law enforcement also executed a search warrant at a River Road residence, seizing several drug paraphernalia items. The complaint is the result of an investigation by Homeland Security, investigation under the direction of Special Agent in Charge Keegan and others under the direction of Sheriff Michael Felicity and the North Tonawanda Police Department. You have been listening to Around Our Area, a weekly look at community newspapers from around Western New York. You have been listening to Around Our Area, a weekly look at community newspapers from around Western New York. Stay tuned for our second hour. Your reader for this hour has been Lenny Mann. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of our Southtowns papers, including Orchard Park, Hamburg, East Aurora, and West Seneca's B papers or Suns. At 3 o'clock, we have the Ample Eagle, and at 4 o'clock, we have the Grand Island Niagara County Tribune Sentinel. Stay tuned for these readings and more throughout the day, and contact us if you have comments, suggestions, or questions. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Volunteer radio readers broadcast daily readings 24 hours a day of newspapers, magazines, books, and other printed matter to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. The Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service has broadcast almost 40 years of radio readings to those without sight. Our broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading Studios are at 1199 Harlem Road in Cheektowaga. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability,